Artichoke. Here we go now, yet again. I believe this is going to be, I'm trying to save this as the last episode before land because I've got one of the heaviest hitters in NA with me right now, folks. Be ready here. We're back for laying it down with Big D. I, of course, am your host, Andrew Big D Morrow. And today, I have got one of the owners of Refrag, I believe one of the original founders, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely not. I'm not one of the original founders. I wish I was, but no, that credit goes to the big Casey Foster, Stefan, and Jimmy. Those are the three founders of Refrag, and I would say 99.9% of the credit goes to all three of them.
Okay, well, either way, this guy is one of the head honchos over at Refrag, does a lot for our community.
I'll take that. Head honchos, I'll live with that one. Not quite, but
he's also been I know it to be true in my heart.
Sure.
He's been, and this, as you guys can tell, Big D does a lot of research here before. It's all about getting to know my guest with you guys at the same time. So anyway, my whole point, he's also one of the top players in NA, playing on Advanced for Power Finesse for a while. We saw him at LAN in Knoxville. Please welcome Michael Maestro Bulostin. How are we doing today, Michael?
Cheers, fantastic. This is the highlight of my week. I was trying to push this off until October to say this is the highlight of my month so far, but
oh damn.
But no,
what else happened
pleasure,
this month
Thank
that's
you
so
for having
great?
me. What's that?
Yeah, dude, of course. Well, I was asking what else happened this month that was so great.
I got some pretty exciting news that I can finally talk about. It was just announced. Elige is now with Team Liquid, and he's obviously a really good friend of mine, and business partner of mine. And I'm just super stoked to see the next chapter of his career take off, and right where he belongs. So that's just been really riding that high of sharing that news with him. Personally, in my life, about a month ago, my last day at my day job came to a close, and that I'm closing the chapter of corporate gig. I was an IT consultant for ServiceNow, and those days are over. 4.5 years in that business, and I can now fully focus on what I truly love and put all of my eggs in the Counter-Strike basket with Refrag and a lot of other endeavors in the scene that I would like to tap into, including stuff like this.
God, dude, that is fucking sick.
Yes, sir.
That is That is living. When I called you here, I asked you how you were doing. Hey, what's up? And you're like, living the dream. And dude, 100% actually living the dream. That is, yeah, dude. It's sick. Hey, dude, I'll tell you, sitting around and dedicate. What you got to be careful with in your spare time is, my God, it's really easy to just sit and play 10 pugs a day every day and forget what happened to time.
It is, and I've definitely fell into those sinkholes for a while. I know a lot of people know this about me, that I will just spam pugs, and it's because I enjoy it. I love it, even though I don't might not sound like I enjoy it while I'm in there. It's just a very good competitive outlet for me. I've always been competitive, but you're absolutely right. There's a rule that I have that I'm doing my best to stick to, that I used to have I used to hold myself accountable for in Go. Essentially, just have balance. And if you win, my rule is if I win 2 pugs in a row, take a break, go for a walk, go cook a meal, whatever it might be, just take a break. If you lose 2 pugs in a row, take a walk, take a break, a reasonable amount of time, at least an hour, maybe 2. Phone a friend, just do anything else, read a book. And then the caveat to that, if you just keep winning and losing back to back, no more than 4 in a row. Which, in Go, I think I did 3 in a row because MR15, but now it's like I give myself, that extra game because it's MR12. But I think that's a good balance to have, and I think a lot of people could probably try to apply that to themselves as well, especially late night. It's easy to get so few into the late nights.
Dude, it is, because that's why I pretty much just and this is going to be harder because I'm about to move to the East Coast.
Come on, where are you going?
I'm going to South Jersey. I'm moving to outside Philly. I'm gonna
The
go
Counter-Strike
be. I'm
hub.
gonna go be. I'm going to the Counter-Strike
Hell
hub,
yeah.
baby.
Congrats, man. Well, I would argue like Jersey, Philly, but then like Dallas, of course, like being central is good. But yeah,
Dallas
that's
is
exciting.
definitely the original hub
Yeah.
of Counter-Strike
Yeah.
in the United States for sure. But
CPL, baby.
Philadelphia has been what's holding it together for the last 10 plus years.
Right.
So
Sasquatch.
it
He's the man.
that we're good. He's dude. I promise everybody he's coming on the show someday. Sasquatch, if you're watching this, we need you on the show, buddy.
Please do.
We need you.
We need to hear from you.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation at Frag. We always have great conversations. I could sit and chat with that guy all day. I always learn little knowledge nuggets from him. He's a brilliant dude. Obviously, he's the guy, and I kept reminding him of that. Someone like him needs to be reminded as frequently as possible what he has done for the scene, because without him, I don't know where. Like, we think our reach is in shambles for so many reasons, but man, if there's anybody that's holding any of this shit together, it's him.
100%.
And I've done my best to try to encourage him along the way, because I know I can only imagine, dude. I can only imagine how hard things have gotten, especially during the rough years. And if it weren't for him, I don't know necessarily where we would be right now. But it's certainly in a much better place because of him so far. And I'm just excited because it like, I hope it's paying off. I think it's going to pay off soon, especially with like, I think, and I know we're going to get into this in a bit probably but what I think I'm just excited for how the system, it should shape out over the coming years, and entities like him will reap the benefits as long as big players that come into the scene pay credit where it's due and hire him to do what he is best at, and not like go to somebody that has no fucking clue what they're doing. And I'm worried that is a possibility. They'll go to like traditional sports people to try to like put an esports event together, and it's just I'd rather somebody like Philadelphia be involved. And I know I'm being kind of vague because I don't want to like spill all the beans of that, the trajectory of the potential of events in North America, but I'm just trying to say that Philadelphia deserves it because they put in a lot of time and effort over the past over a decade now at this point.
Well, and it's a passion project too, right? And I know you and I off camera were talking about like why passionate people within the scene seem to succeed, but like he's operated this thing regardless of whether it's going to make money or not, right? Like he's like, this needs to happen, it's going to happen, and he continues to put it on. And watching how VRS is working in the favor of things like Philadelphia, or like right now I'm hearing about Draculand and I didn't really even know about that, or like Epic Land, like all these like smaller grassroots LAN tournaments are starting to get a lot more recognition and validity because of the VRS system. And I think that's one of the best parts of the VRS system is like, I got to go to my first LAN in Kansas City last year at Frag 18, right? And when I saw that, I was on the brink of quitting Counter-Strike completely.
Really?
Going into that LAN. Dude, I was like, what am I doing with my life? I've been casting for almost 2 years now. Like this is my third year of casting. I was like, been casting for almost 2 years. I play online. I'm dog shit at this game. I've never even been level 10 face it. I hate everybody. I'm screaming at my computer every time I load it up. Why am I doing this to myself?
I think I might have been one of those pugs with you.
Dude, you definitely have been. Dude, I'm not a happy camper in pugs. I'm not a happy camper in pugs.
Well, I'm glad you stuck
for
with
sure.
It. It's easy to get to that point where you're like, fuck this, fuck everything, fuck this whole scene. But you gotta look at the big picture. So I'm glad you did.
Yeah, dude, and you go to a LAN and you see how much passion other people have for the game.
Absolutely.
And not tier 1 LAN. You meet plenty of people that love the game there, but like when you go to like Frag, you meet the people that really love the game like you do. And you realize how important that is to the ecosystem overall and the like player experience and the player development for professional levels. And yeah, it's just really cool seeing VRS work out the way it has. But I'm gonna do this is an awful segue. We're just gonna herky jerky straight into my first question here for you. My first question I always ask everybody is, what are your what are your earliest memories of gaming, and how did they lead you to Counter Strike?
Yeah, so just like most people, my earliest memory of gaming is just whatever we could afford or convince our parents to purchase for us and whatever device. And I think some of the examples that I might share with you, might be a little bit older than your viewership might recognize.
Yeah, I'm
So it's gonna
excited.
age
I'm
me a bit.
excited because you're from the same era I
It's
am.
gonna age me a bit, and I cannot believe I'm even saying these words. It's going to age like I've heard like actual boomers say these words, and the fact that I'm saying this is just it's actually kind of like making me feel sad a little bit. No, like Game Boy, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, all the like early, nin- um, consoles. I can say like names of games, but there's just such a long list. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but the big ones that stick out to me are like Sonic, um, Crash Bandicoot, obviously like Mario,
Yes,
and then like I would get into like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
my man.
like all the just like the classics of those like early console games that I just loved, just having fun and like being distracted. I played sports growing up, so it was just fun. Like whenever I'd get injured, I would have some sort of outlet that I was like engaged in. Um, I let's see. Then it kind of evolved a bit from there. It took a while for me to get to the level where I was like, oh, I'm ready to go to PC. I didn't even realize like gaming on a PC wasn't really a thing back then, right? But I went to a friend's house. He was playing StarCraft, and I was like, oh, what's that? And he like let me play like a mod. I can't remember exactly what mod it was, but I just fell in love with it right away. At the same time, I was also playing. I was actually traveling to I was a chess player at that age. I was about 11 years old. I was a pretty good chess player, and for me, when I started playing StarCraft, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm playing like chess!" But it's a totally different. It's like a digital chess, and there's like I'm like controlling all these different parts, and I can see like the end game, and I can visualize like different like outcomes if I do this, and it's just like a never-ending just learning curve. Because the better you get, the harder it is. And I was just like, wow, this is just so cool. Same thing with chess. That your higher your elo is in chess, the harder it is. You're playing against other people that are very good. Shortly after that, I got really just into it. The only outlet of me being able to play StarCraft was going to his house and playing. And then eventually, I was like, I gotta build myself a computer, get myself a computer. And at the time, you could buy this like this machine. It was an e-machine. I don't know if you ever heard of those. The early days of like a customized PC. I think from Costco or something. So I bought that, plugged it all up, and my mom like said like, "Oh wow, you're so smart. You were able to like put a computer together." But really, I was just like plugging all the stuff in. Um,
That's what my parents said every time I moved the fucking console around from TV to
it's
TV.
like I just plugged like the mouse and keyboard in. That's it.
Right.
I think I might have like installed the sound card or something because back then you needed sound cards to be able to hear the games. But um, and then that evolved to I started playing like Duke Nukem, Doom, Quake, like first person shooters on console. At the same time, I was also playing GoldenEye, which is like a classic. It was the best, in my opinion, just so fun. Like I would get with my friends and we would play on the big screen, like the projector screen. We'd play, 4v4 or whatever, and um, that evolved from there to eventually I don't even remember honestly the earliest exposure to Counter-Strike that I had. Besides, I just remember playing like a really early version, like a 1.3 at a friend's, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Like something about this game is different, especially the economy. I was really into math at the time too, so I was like, I just love the fact that you had to like purchase your ammo, and like that little piece of it was like you have to make a decision. it's like, oh, you have to make a decision. Do I need this much ammo in my deagle this round? And like, what does that mean for the next round? And the trickle effect of like that decision has on later rounds in the half. But also just kind of playing the game casually on like the, protect the VIP maps and like, Office and Assault and all those like super nostalgic maps that I loved. Scouts Knives was like a super fun early mod for me that evolved into obviously like 1.5, 1.6. 1.5 is when I started playing competitively. The age of like 13 or 14, started meeting people here around the Atlanta area. I went to my first LAN at 14. Started meeting people that were at the time were like in Cal Invite, and that's when it started really taking off for me. I was like, wow, and just kind of like to the point that you were just trying to make earlier. That's when I realized I have a connection with these people that like I've been talking to on the internet, and some of them show up, and the people that show up, to your point, is like there's some sort of like unspoken understanding and respect, no matter how much shit was said about each other, but like you're just there. The fact that you showed up is like 80% of this like mutual respect, and something that you can't really like explain or even like feel unless you're there. And that's why I've always encouraged people to go to events. It's something that's just you can't explain it. And that's when I found out that that's what I was passionate about. I went to my first couple of LANs. I won a LAN tournament, and I was like, and that's, I mean, obviously that feeling is just like totally indescribable, especially when you're beating people that you look up to. Like I beat an invite team, and I was just like, holy shit, I cannot believe I just beat that team. Like they destroy everybody in our area all the time. How did I get so lucky? And and I realized this is a team game, and anybody has a shot. And we were just a bunch of young kids that had a dream, and our goal was to just get to the finals. The fact that we beat a Cal P team was like we had already exceeded that expectation, and then we beat an invite team. We're like, okay, now what? Let's maybe take this seriously. Maybe we are good at the game. And that's when it evolved a little bit for me to like wondering if I had a future in Counter-Strike. I'm sitting there at 15, 16 with high hopes and dreams, and I start kind of putting myself out there and trying out for better teams. And there's a guy that was a former Quake 3 professional from Korea. His name was Blest, Blest. Local guy that lived here, that was putting a project together. He interviewed me and he asked me, and I'll never forget one of the interview questions that helped me basically land the position on the team. But he basically said, hey, I know you're like thinking about, the next chapter in your life. You're coming close to college. Like, if it comes down to it, we're doing well, and you just have to decide whether or not you're going to go to college. Like, what do you think you're going to decide? I'm like, well, that's like a year and a half from now. If we're good enough to be me contemplating going to college or not, or playing Counter-Strike, then, I think I'm gonna make the right choice either way. And he was like, wow, that's like a very mature way to put it. Because at the time, like, there's no like options other, like there weren't like any salaried teams unless you were like at the very, very top. And it was just kind of like almost impossible to think about playing Counter-Strike professionally, truly, unless you're really just playing on the highest stage. And another early memory of mine that really set it home for me was when I visited my dad in France. We went to the ESWC World Cup in Paris, and I stepped inside of that arena, and I saw the look on his face, because he did not at all like buy into this world of esports, right? Especially at the time, 2006, like no way. And when I saw the look on his face, and he's been in like major arenas around the world in soccer, like he was big into the soccer world. And when I saw the look on his face, and he understood what that meant to me, that's when I knew that this was going to be a thing someday. I was like, oh, this is not quite there yet, but it will be. And that's where I like internally believe like this is going to be something someday. So I was very excited. The next moment for me in Counter-Strike was, unfortunately, with a team that I interviewed for that I made a team with, we did very well. We were undefeated in open. And then this is a very touchy subject, but I was actually um, I was wrongfully banned for accused cheating at the time. I was 16 years old, and
Uh-oh.
it destroyed me. I was like, oh well, but like at the time, I was like, oh surely like this will be overturned. I'll post my demo on and this is gonna age me too. But Refrag, I posted my demo on Refrag. I like did the whole thing, like got the whole community to back me up. There's only like maybe a couple of people that are like, I don't know about this guy. And then like I went to the next LAN with my team. We won, and it's like, can we do something about this? Like
I'm not
I'm not
cheating.
like, can we do something? Didn't get unbanned, and that's when we had to have our hard conversation. If I'm banned from the only league that even mattered at the time, like, what am I supposed to do? I can't play this game, right? So I'm 16. What am I gonna do? I can't play Counter-Strike. Like, I have to figure something else out. So I started looking in colleges. My mom put a fucking pamphlet down on my desk one day and said, it was a military pamphlet. That was my only other option, was either college or military. Like in my mind, right? Like I didn't have any other like really like life skills. I was like a sport. I was like into sports and I was good at Counter-Strike. I wasn't really smart. Didn't have really any other like really like life skills at the time. Like nothing like, yeah, nothing technical or anything like that. So I just decided to put myself through school, went to college, and didn't touch a PC for like 6 years until 2013. I came back to Atlanta, and after school, after graduating with an international business degree, didn't really even think about Counter-Strike at all, except for 1 month. During 1 month, I actually bought a I bought a computer from Best Buy on a 30-day return policy, so I could pug every single day on ESEA for a full month. And I returned it, and that was the 1 month during that 5-year window of not touching a PC that I played Counter-Strike. But anyway,
that takes amazing self-restraint to like not go back for that PC again later on.
Yeah, I brought my PC originally, my custom PC to college, but I was just like playing WoW like occasionally, and that was it. Like outside of that, I was just like, this CS isn't for me. I'm having way too much fun in college. I'm gonna get my degree. I'm gonna play, I'm gonna play sports. I'm gonna meet friends, like do my thing. But CS was just, I was burned. I was like, dude, it fucked me. I was destroyed, right?
I don't blame you.
Which is why, like, and we can touch on this in a bit, but I've been very careful with accusations, because I know obviously like my opinion carries some weight, but now that you know like that backstory, it hits home to me. And I have been unfortunately guilty, I will say, of like being quick to accuse some people. Because of the, like you kind of mentioned it, like before we started the call, like just the whole ecosystem has changed a lot, and it's just really easy to jump to conclusions right now with how easy.
There's a lot of bad actors out there right now.
So we can touch on that in a bit, but I guess I'll just kind of finish with my origin story. I'm trying not to catch up with Cajun's timeline.
Dude, I'm amazed.
I've got a little bit longer span of life than
I was gonna say you've got a longer span, so feel free. I think it's weighted differently because of the longer span. So
sure,
you're already way shorter than him right now. His 35 minutes is more like an hour for you.
So I'll try to keep it brief. I know I don't want anybody to snooze at home, but basically, when I came back to this is where things get interesting for my career. This is more of like, Counter-Strike can be a thing for me again, because I didn't know if I'd ever find anything that I was as passionate as I was about Counter-Strike. I loved sports. I loved soccer. I didn't, but it wasn't the same. Like when I would get injured in sports, like what was my outlet? Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike, right?
So 2013, come back to Atlanta, get my job. I go reconnect with friends at a birthday party. I meet new friends, and one of them is Casey Foster. He's sitting there, also kind of mingling, getting to know some people, and we start chatting and like, hey, how do you know this person? Like, blah blah blah, and then like, what's your background? And he says, oh, I played. I own a platform, netcode guides that helps people get better at a video game. I'm like, oh, what game? He's like, Counter-Strike. I'm like, what? No, you don't. And he's like, yeah. And I used to play professional. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, what do you mean? Because I've been like out of the scene at this point. Like, I don't like, to me, like Counter Strike is, you can't play for professionally. Like, especially like during the 1.6 through Source transition. To me, like I'm just gone. I'm out of that scene. I don't know what has happened. I had so much research to do after this conversation that I was like, what has happened? Like, is this becoming a thing again? And he explained to me that it was popping off, it was doing well again, and it's like, wow, that's so cool. And I told him I played 1.6, and we kind of sized each other up a little bit. Um, I told him I was okay, and he said that he was okay at the game, and
being bashful and humble.
He helped me build my first PC again after that, and like a week later, I was playing with him, and I picked it up, man. It was like riding a bike. I mean, I remember one of my first games was on Inferno with him in the early stages of Go. Remember, like the game had just come out, and it was so bad, but I didn't know it was bad. It was better than like I remembered. It was so sick.
Right. You're just happy to play it again after 7 years away.
Especially like I had touched it, by the way. I touched this. Remember the CS:GO version on Xbox?
Yeah.
I played that on a controller.
Updated it.
I bought it. I went and bought it at the store, played it on a controller with my friends. I was like, dude, this is whack. Like, this is so bad. And they're like, what do you mean?
It's no good.
I'm on a controller. They're like, what? You play mouse and keyboard? You play video games on mouse and keyboard? I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. And at the time, again, like I hadn't touched, it was like a different, it almost felt like a different life, like a generation ago. It felt so long ago that I had like even thought about it, because I'd experienced so much in those 5 years. I just built life skills. I was going to college. I was, doing so many different things that like just weren't at all involved in this world again. And so when I came back to it, I was just like, it felt right. It felt like I just put my hands on my mouse and keyboard, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. And I met some really cool people along the way through Casey. He was doing his thing, building his brand. I was, doing the corporate world gig. And for many years, kind of like living a dual life where I was like making sure that, my like I protected and I was building, a life for myself, and like, met my now wife. Like I'm like, trying to provide for her and like eventually a family one day. And like, that's, to me, I'm just like, Counter-Strike is this. And it's just like, it's just for fun. It's my outlet. And then this is like, I have to really care about this, because that really burned me. So I'm going to keep that away. I'm going to touch it. I'm going to have fun with it, but it's not my thing. And I did really well. I was in the corporate world. I went from like IT job to marketing gig. And then I eventually at one point was deep into this, like climbing the ladder in this marketing role for a consumer packaged goods company called Rich Farm Rich like food products basically. And I was getting promotion after promotion, doing really well. And then Casey, in 2017, asks me to help him translate some videos from English to French and French to English. And it was for the Boomio project when his company sold to IMG. He sold netcode guides to IMG. They rebranded it to Boomio. I don't know if you're familiar with this. This is a short project.
I remember Boomio.
So I was translating, so French was my native language. I was born in France. I know French. I know Counter-Strike. He asked me to help him with translations, right? So I did that for a little bit. It was like a really quick little thing, nothing crazy, but like Scream, Shocks, Apex, Smiths, NBK, all of their videos that were on Boomio at the time were translated by me. That was my voice. And then I helped a little bit here and there with like some like small time marketing stuff. A few months go by and he goes, hey, we got a marketing role that just opened up. Do you want to hop over? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like full time, like you have to quit your job. I'm like, we need to know in like 2 days. And I'm like, dude, everything's going so good though. Like, I don't know, man. And reminder, like, this burned me in the past, right? Like, not, I don't, but like I have that held on to me. Like, I don't really know and internalize that, and it takes me a long time after to really like understand it. But in the moment, it's hard for me to like say yes. I know that sounds
48 hours is a short window to make that
well,
decision too.
yeah, I mean that's just a tactic in general, but like they have to fill that role, right? Like they need it, and that's
Right.
so I understand and I respect it. It has nothing to do with like the pressure at all of that. It's just for me, I just things are going well, so why would I mess it up? But it's also like I'm young. I was young at the time. I can be risky. I don't have kids. Why not? Let's do it. So I decide to go for it. I jump right into it. Don't really like I barely hesitate. And man, it was the best. It was the hardest, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And even though it was a rough start in the esports world, because that project actually ended up folding a few months later, which was, like a travesty. But if I told myself at the time, like, it's gonna be okay, if I know what I know now, like, and I was okay, but it was just like, damn, what did I say yes to, because it was that project after project after project that kind of ended up like continuously failing forward, until I I'll keep this one short, but basically I helped relaunch Face It Pro League FPL into North America because of the connections that we had made during Vimeo. That helped me get a job with ESL. I actually became the product marketing manager for ESEA at the time and some ESL projects like the Stats Pro platform. I went to events, did the whole thing, did MDL Global Challenge, worked with El Jacko and Illuminati and all those folks. And that, because I made the decision to jump into the esports world in a very risky position, but it was safe at the same time, I would never have had, if I didn't make that decision, I would have never had the experience of being able to work with all those people and meet all the people that I have, and then eventually get back to the point where I got involved in Refrag. There was a little bit of like a Valorant stint in that where I coached for a brief period, and a bunch of competitive teams along the way. I've participated in a bunch of LAN tournaments as a player and as a coach. I've won a few BOIOC LAN tournaments here in Atlanta at DreamHack. Placed at some Fragadelphias along the way, and yeah, man, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. So I tried to summarize it, but yeah, if you have any questions, any follow-up questions, that's where I'll leave it.
Brother, that is a beautiful story, and I just want you to know I'm very happy you made that decision, because I think like I'll do a little storytelling here, a little open and honesty for all the young folks at home to witness. But I'm that pug you're talking about that we met each other in. I was a butthead and I was upset, and like I met you and I was like, God, dude, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this guy and whatever? And then I met you at LAN and I got to talk to you face to face, and like your passion and your drive and your dedication is like it's I don't know how much other people appreciate it, but I really fucking appreciate it. Like I know plenty of people do, but like I'm really happy that you are here, because it gets hard for like middle-aged men in gaming. Like, how often do we go around and like you constantly hear like, oh, boomer, oh, uninstall the game. Maybe you don't hear that nearly as
Oh, I
much
hear it
because you're like playing.
I hear it every day, no matter what. But I
Right.
have tough
Okay.
skin, so
Well,
like they think it bothers me, but I'm like, damn, I really wish I was younger, but I'm still banging. I'm still running laps around you in and out of the server.
yeah,
It's all
dude.
good. It's all good.
I don't care that they say it. I mean, I do have pretty thin skin. Like, if you're mean to me, you can hurt my feelings pretty easily. But
I've heard it all, man.
which
I've heard it on the, like I said, I played collegiate sports, so like it stings, but it's like that's part of the game a little bit, like within reason. Like you can't go too far with some of it. That like
right.
when you go too far, it gets a little scary. It's like, oh, who hurt
When
you?
you can
But
hear somebody genuinely wants to hurt you, that's when you're like, whoa, hang on, this isn't fun anymore.
yeah,
Like, and
that's not
to
okay.
like follow up to that too, like that was another magical part of being at LAN for the first time, because I used to be like, why are we all talking shit to each other? Why can't we just like focus on the game and
It's
fuck all
part
this
of it,
shit
baby.
talking? We're a bunch of babies.
Part
And
of
then
it.
you go to LAN and you're like, it's part of the game, dude.
Part
Like
of it.
getting in your opponent's head
Oh, it's so
is
much. It's
part
so
of.
part. That's why. But the one thing I
Yeah.
will say though, the caveat to that is, I noticed at this last frag, and I even like, I was guilty of this. Why are we typing to each other? People are typing in these LAN matches to each other.
Were they?
I was like, I'm gonna type back. I'm like, wait, why am I typing? Like,
stand up and say it with your
yeah,
chest, pussy.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I could not believe I like fell into the trap of typing back on LAN. I was like, I've never typed to somebody on LAN. I will just like yell across the room, and that was weird. Like, I hope that doesn't become a thing. And maybe it was because it was a little bit of a different dynamic. Nip is right in the corner. They were complaining about like sound issues, you know, blah blah blah. Like NRG's over there, like they're trying to be all like they're
It
doing
was
their
a
thing.
tight space in there.
So
in
maybe there's
Knoxville.
that, but I don't want that to become the norm, because I'm sorry, but it's part of it. They're within reason, and I think part of it, we do need to dial in like the audio issues. Like some people don't know how to. They don't know, like, voice activation at home is just natural to them, so they don't do a push to talk. And for me, and like a rule on my team, if I go to LAN, everybody uses a push to talk because of that. Or if you know that you're about to shit talk, if you clutch, and or if you're in the middle of a clutch, or you're like whatever, if you're in the middle of a round, you have to mute before you shit talk, because we're picking up on each other. And that's
Right,
the
and
one
then you're
issue that I do
screaming
have.
in your friend's
Yeah,
ears.
and because like then they're gonna be like, oh, I gotta turn this guy down, and then that becomes an issue, because for obvious reasons, like you want them to hear you in the round. So that's the one thing that we need to figure out. You know, dial it back a little bit, or I'm not saying like soundproof boost by any means. That's never gonna happen on in these like grassroots tournaments. Who knows?
They ain't
Maybe.
got him at ESL. I don't think we're having them at Frag.
I think it would be possible to have, like, if we get back to like the grassroots of what like CPL did it like in convention centers, where there's a lot of space during like downtime of that specific town or cities, like there's just it's a good like time to host an event, an affordable time to do it at an event space like that. Then you have like this space that you can utilize for that, and just up the production value, increase the integrity, the competitiveness, like all of it can just be elevated to a higher degree. Because right now, playing, no offense, I think, by the way, the event space in Knoxville was fantastic, like very well done, by the way, with as limited space as it had, like very smart the way that they did it. So credit to them.
It was not nearly as crowded as I thought it would be once it was completely full of players.
It reminded me of the old. I don't think you. You mentioned the first one that you've ever been to was Frag, Kansas. I didn't go to that, but
Frag 18.
That was the one in the basketball arena, right?
Yeah, that was at the Hy-Vee Arena.
So the one in Knoxville reminds me of the one that they had in
at TAP.
Is TAP? No, I think TAP. I'm thinking of the one that's like a very small space. It's like one of the original like Nerd Street locations.
I think
or maybe
that's TAP.
Okay.
Because the new one is the Block. The
Block, Block is big,
weekend.
And it's got like, you know, like that's got a like a.
Are you gonna be there next weekend?
Dude, I wish. I want to root Elysian and like be there for him, because they're actually gonna be there. So, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to squeeze it in, unfortunately. I'd have to like.
Damn.
Yeah, I'll talk to the wife. We'll see. I'd like to, but are you gonna be there?
Dude, yeah, dude. Oh yeah. I'm going, and I'm gonna be scoping out my new place in Jersey so that I can be at all of them.
Yeah, there you go.
After that.
Good for you.
Because if I go there and decide, no, wait, I hate this place, I don't want to live here, I would rather know that than move there in 2 months and go, oh, what have I done with my life?
Yeah.
Who's this?
This is Mr. Beau. Monsieur Beau. It's spelled Beau, means handsome in French. He's a foster fail. We've had him since he was 4 days old. We had his mom, who was a foster. She had just had. So my wife is a vet technician. She also works for different rescues around the Atlanta area, and we're constantly surrounded by animals. She's rescued a few here and there. But we had him and his sister at 4 days old, and his mom, like I said, we found homes for both his mom and his sister, and then we just, for some reason, coincidentally, we just could not find a home for this guy. So we're still trying to. He's now 6 years old, so I think he might be digging with us at this point. But
Yeah, he can't go anywhere. That's funny. I have a French Shepherd. I've got a Beauceron.
oh
I
wow,
don't know if you're
yeah, yeah,
familiar with
yeah, of
them,
course.
but my dog's name is Garcon.
I
So
remember
he's
hearing that in a previous episode. Garçon means yeah. I mean, it means boy, but it also means like serve, like,
Garcon means boy,
but it means like servant, like it's a
like
it's a
waiter.
bougie, like, servant, yeah, waiter kind of, yeah.
Well, it fits for a French Shepherd, and my family being like film nerd family, we have always had cats and dogs that are like named after something from a movie. So I'm like, all right,
I love
Garcon,
it.
Pulp Fiction, it works. We can keep the tradition going. Well, dude. I want to ask you too about Refrag because talk about probably one of the most impactful things for the Counter Strike space. Like, what is kind of the what is the origin story? So you were working with Casey prior to the start of Refrag, right?
Yeah, like I said, with Boomio, so Boomio, like I said, folded. We built a bunch of connections while during that time. We hired Flom as an example in Adren. Flom was one of our biggest marketing vehicles in NA at the time. We built a really good connection with him, and we leveraged some of those connections to talk to Faceit, and Faceit was at the time was trying to figure out how to relaunch um, Faceit Pro League in North America again, but do it the right way, because they had previously tried in 2015, I think, and it was just horrible. They were competing with Rank S. Rank S was dominating, and they just couldn't they couldn't catch up. All the NA pros at the time were playing in Rank S and not playing FPL. So then we started getting all the pros to play it. Flom and Flom launched. So we launched different hubs in North America. If you remember at the time, Mythic obviously was one of them. Pregame was ours. We were on the East Coast. Mythic was in Central, and Dust2 US was on the West Coast. Obviously, that wasn't ever going to work out. We're basically competing with one another. It should have just been one hub to begin with from the very start. Big lesson learned. Mythic ended up, since they're central, since they have the biggest names, they're always going to win from the beginning in that like race. And so, but it was successful. Mythic is still running to this day. Doesn't have as many games as they would like, I'm sure, and doesn't really have a pathway to FPL anymore, as healthy as it should be. But at the end of the day, like, that whole project ended up being successful, right? Because it
It's still
competed.
it's still a way that people pug
Yeah, well,
to
it
this day.
competed now. I mean, like, obviously, like, we know the end story. Like, the merger happened, and Faceit and ESEA are together. But after, like, I saw the writing on the wall, and that, like, I didn't really have a place in that project anymore, I started looking for jobs in the esports world, and I found out that ESL was hiring for a product marketing manager for ESEA, and I was like, well, I have project management experience in the IT space. I worked in marketing in the consumer packaged goods space. I've done market research. I know, like, digital marketing. I know all these different, like, elements of I know how to, like, do the product lifecycle of IT stuff. I know how to manage those types of projects. So, and I know Counter-Strike, and I'm a Counter-Strike player. So I basically pitched I did my thing. I did my pitch. They knew I just, worked on FPL relaunch. Obviously, I had my, like, Boomio experience, and it was a perfect fit. That was in 2018, 2019. And at the time, Casey was still trying to, like, his wheels were turning. He was trying to figure out how to make, at the time, it was, it was Neko Guys, then it was Boomio, then it was Pregame, right? Were the three brand names. And then he decided to relaunch this thing called Refrag, and that's how he branded it at the time. And he brought over now CTO Stefan and head lead developer, in-game developer Jimmy to the project, and those are the three founders that I mentioned at the very beginning of this. And so those three just grinded for like a year building. They started with early modifications, like, just duels, pre-fire. That's where it kind of started with Boomio to begin with, and that was like the early stage. But all these like concepts that Casey had written down, or like, had ideated, was how can we modify the game in as many ways as possible to give you reps in as many different scenarios as possible. And I mean, like the early stages of like VPL, or like to be able to fight against an execute or defend an execute, or replay an execute, or record an execute, or all of these things were like in his head, and he was like, Jimmy, try to build this. And then like Jimmy was like, yeah, we can build that, but we'll build this thing called like Crossfire first. And Crossfire is like, Casey was like, he saw Crossfire, he's like, this is stupid. And then Crossfire ended up being like one of the most successful mods that like Refrag ever built, right? But I digress a little bit, because there's part of the story that made Refrag, kind of on the map, and that was during my time at ESL. I really believed in the Refrag project, but I wasn't involved at the time, and they were in talks at the time with trying to get on a platform, like collaborate with a platform, and they were in talks with Face at the time. They were in talks with the SCA, and essentially, long story short, I'll just say this: it was licensed on the SCA for a short period of time, for about, I think, an 18-month licensing deal, where it was inside of the ESCA Insider subscription tier, if you remember ESCA Insider.
Mm-hmm.
And any insiders could have access to Refrag technology, mods or whatever. The problem was, at the time, it was very slow to go from product launch to like be ready from a Refrag development perspective to then launch through and to be accessible to the end user on ESCA. Very long, like way too long, right? Feature after feature that was released was very slow. And months went by, and this continued happening. And that was like the big bottleneck. Like, Refrag was cool on paper at the time. It was good. It was like it, but it just was lacking this like the the talent of the technical team behind Refrag was being held back by this huge bottleneck of it needing to go through the ESCA client. That's where I'll leave it. Okay. And that licensing deal ended shortly, I think, before or after COVID. COVID happened. I was let go during COVID. There was a bunch of cuts during COVID, and that's when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I actually, used my severance package to put myself through a boot camp, a technical boot camp where I learned full stack, front and back end, and that's what helped me get my job, my IT consultant job that I told you about, that I was at for 4.5 years. During that span of time, I coached Valorant for a short period of time, but during that coaching of Valorant, that's when Casey reached back out to me. It was like, hey, we need a marketing guy, and we need help with, want to build content for utility hub stuff, and you're my guy for that. You want to come check it out? And I was like, dude, I'm like doing this stuff with Valorant. I can't. I don't know if I can do really both. And he was like, yeah, probably. He doesn't want me to be involved in Valorant anyway, while I'm involved in Refrag and Counter-Strike stuff. So I kind of let the Valorant stuff like run its course, and then I exited that. Saw the writing on the wall on that one when I didn't receive my last paycheck from that org. We won't talk about that. Joined the Refrag team, and the rest is history. That was about 3.5 years ago. Almost, yeah, 3.5 years ago. And I've been focusing mostly the last few years on my full-time gig. But I built all of the utility hub content. So, and there's about, I think, like over 400 videos at this point. About 100 or so that are still to be edited, and I have a backlog of about 150 that are on my spreadsheet to go record now that I have all this fancy equipment. So that's coming next. But those are my responsibilities. I also I've produced all of the Academy content, Refrag Academy content with Elysian Pimp. So I'm behind that part of the responsibility. I've helped a little bit here and there with marketing efforts, but that's mostly Kimon who does that. And funny enough, and going back to like attending events in Philadelphia, one of our co-owners and developers by the name of Gonzo, James Madden, is I met him at a Fragadelphia, and he was asking me very awesome, like inquisitive questions about Refrag, and I was like, dude, this guy is smart. This like something about this guy like is different than anybody else that I've met at other events, and anybody, something like he's got something different about him, and the way that he was asking me questions made me spark an interest in him. That I was like, I got to get this guy an interview. Like he deserves at least an interview, right? So he interviewed with the company and got a job immediately, and he's been with the companies ever since. And he's been a godsend to Refrag as well. But yeah, I thought I'd give those guys a shout out and mention because, like I said, I mean, I've been very little involved the last couple of years, but my goal and trajectory now that I'm like full ass into this, my last day at my day job was like exactly like 17 days ago or something like that. And so I'm kind of like transitioning. Like I've just rearranged my entire office. I'm trying to get to the point where like these are supposed to go on the wall at some point. All of my like things I wanted to like show those, but I didn't know how. I'm just
Dude, it looks
excited.
sick back there.
I'm excited. Like it's such a mess right now, but I want to, like you, man, I want to go full force into this scene again, and give it the attention that it deserves. I haven't given Refrag the attention that it merits over the last few years, and I really want to make sure that I make up for that. And I also want to do stuff, just like ancillary to that. I want to do more of this type of stuff, content. I might even want to launch something of my own. Um, I'm excited. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I've got a couple of ideas when it comes to, I think like knowledge transfer stuff is really important. There's a lot of really brilliant people in the scene that should share. Oh, okay, buddy. We'll go outside here soon. I think there's a lot of brilliant people around the scene that can really transfer some of their wisdom, their knowledge, mentorship. And I think that's what we're lacking. I saw somebody's tweet the other day about that. And it's like, we absolutely need to collaborate better in this scene of transferring good vibes to each other. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I want to try to not necessarily be like the pioneer of it by any means, but just I want to contribute to it. Because that's what we need.
That's what I'm doing here, baby.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, keep it up, brother.
Dude, like that, because you nailed it when you say we need to collaborate in this scene better. Like, and like, NA specifically really has it's every man for himself mindset and a very cutthroat environment. Oh, we're getting an important phone call right now.
No.
He's trying to answer it for you.
I'll turn it off.
No, you're fine. I don't care. No, we're just in a very cutthroat time in Counter-Strike. It feels like I remember growing up, and maybe you can attest to this. And part of this could be too, I'm just a middle-aged man, and it's harder to make new friends as you get older, no matter what, right? But I remember like growing up, and even 10 years ago when I like first started playing Counter-Strike like really heavily, it felt really easy to connect with people online and make new friends and like find a group of people you liked playing with and whatnot. Whereas like nowadays, I don't remember the last time I met somebody in a pug and was like, hell yeah, you're a cool dude. I want to like keep talking to you. And I know that these people aren't bad people that I'm pugging with, right? You go to LAN and you see them and you meet them in person and you're like, oh, we all love the same thing. But like, everybody's got this guard up right now, right? And it feels like we need more collaboration and we need more people within the scene that are trying to foster that collaboration. So that's where I think that like Refrag is having one of the biggest impacts is not just being a tool for players to use, but like everybody can feel confident that there is something like leading the way right now that like, okay, we all learn the same thing, get on the same page.
I want to validate one thing that you said, and I think there's a little bit there's a way to think about it that, and I'm not trying to cope at all with this. You mentioned like our age is one thing, but I think part of the system too. Before, if you remember, in MIRC, everybody was within the same, and like even like the ESCA forums. So there's two things, and a lot of people can relate with ESCA forums. When I say MIRC, I brought MIRC up the other day to a group of young people, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Unk?" I'm like, "Fuck, I'm getting old." Okay, IRC was like the original of Discord, but everybody was in the same channels. They were in the same Discord channels. Like there weren't a ton of different servers just built
Right.
like it wasn't fractured. I describe our scene as fractured, and that means that like we're in too many places at the same time, and we're just there's so much going on. There's so many different channels, different servers, different places for where people can communicate that it's like there's no common there's like a bunch of like little bitty not echo chambers, but they're just little caves and where everybody's lost in those little caves. Whereas before it was like way more of a connected space. And then that kind of evolved. IRC went away, Discord came about, and like it while Discord is amazing, don't get me wrong, I love it. ESCA forums at least like bridge that gap of like everybody was kind of contributing to this space where everybody was like looking at the same thing. You know, we were all like
Right.
at least like communicating in the same channel in the same area. Now it's just like, dude, where is everything going? And then like Twitter is like just a social media platform that's at this point that just spews a bunch of crap that there's not like a common voice. And so I think the solution, I don't know that there's necessarily a solution to the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, because I think we've kind of lost, there's been such a big gap of time at this point where we don't have that connectivity. But I think that something that it can at least help bring some of that back is forums. Face it, please. I beg you to have a common space where all of us
Put
can
forums
talk.
on there.
Put forums on there. I don't care if it's bring it back. Bring the shit posting back. We need it back. Because at least at
Right.
that point we'll feel a little bit connected. We're doing something together. Because right now it's like you load up Twitter to see what everybody's talking about, but then there's like a thought, you know, and then there's like or whatever, like there's something, there's like drama or there's like there's news about a pro team and like you know like all these different things that like are distracting. No, like what about us just talking, like us like
Just us
NACS
people.
player just talking and then like finding to bring up your point about like finding like-minded individuals that you can vibe with and chill with and game with. You could easily do that on the forums. Hey, anybody like, you know, I mean, I know there's like LFT, you know, find pub, but there's that in like 17,000 different servers, you know? So how are you, it's not in a common space. So face it,
No.
figure it out,
There's
make
HO
something happen for us where we can all talk and find like-minded individuals like Big D just described, because the ages thing is one thing. Yes, it's a little bit tougher to find people. You know, as people get older, they're obviously going to phase out. They're going to, you know, this isn't for them anymore, right? So you and I are like, we're not so common in this space.
Right, we're exceptions.
We're exceptions to the rule. So, you know, in the younger generation, I'm not going to really like. I understand where they're coming from. Why they don't have as much like full-blown respect for the older gen, because I mean I was the same way when I was their age.
Right.
I get it.
I
I
was
was a
just
shithead.
that age 15 years ago.
I do think though that like I did look up, like for example the guy that I told you about earlier in the show, like Blessed, he was you know, I don't know, probably like mid to upper 20s at the time. I had a lot of respect for the guy. I mean, he was a former Quake pro. Like, why wouldn't I have respect for this guy that was mechanically gifted, super smart at the game, like ranked, you know, the highest in the Quake. Like he was like number 1, I think, or number 2 or something like that. Like, why wouldn't I have respect just because of what I know about him? You know what I mean? I don't think that goes around enough. And I'm not saying that I like deserve it or I earned it, but like just about anybody. Like I notice older players in
Yeah.
general in the scene just don't get like, hey man, like not respect your elders, but a little bit of just like, yo, respect, man. You're still sticking with it. That's pretty dope. Like I hear it every once in a while. That's nice to hear and see, but like it's more the opposite, which is kind of like, man, you could be so much better and so much cooler if you were just like encouraging and like be open to like, I don't know, learning or like there's there. But I will say this: there's I've helped some some folks along the way who are like trying to figure themselves out. Like they're like, do I go to college? Hey, I'm done with college. Like, what do I do now? They come to me, and that makes me feel really good. They like ask me like, hey, like life questions, like, and those are the people that stick out to me that are like, oh, they want to do something. They have ambition. They want to do something with their lives. And I have a mutual respect for them immediately when they do that. Like I used to do the same thing when I was younger. I looked up to people that I wanted to like gain wisdom from. Like, hey, where did you fuck up? Tell me how I don't want to fuck up the way that you fucked up. I know you fucked up because you're so successful.
Right.
You fucked up somehow, some way. Tell me how you fucked up so I want to learn my wisdom through you. And the only way that you learn wisdom is by fucking up. You have to fail to learn. And I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot. And I think a lot of people in the scene can learn a lot if they just ask. If they just and they have to put themselves out there and they have to fail themselves. And that kind of goes back to a little bit of that knowledge transfer stuff that I was talking about earlier to collaborate. And I think that if there's more connectivity and there's more chances and opportunities for us to get together, there will be more opportunities for that. And there will be less echo chambers of like kids just like spewing the same shit that they're regurgitating from Twitter. Anyway, there's my fucking boomer rant.
Dude, no, Josh, I appreciate it, dude. That's God, like this is just a very validating episode for me to hear somebody else my age like say these kinds of things and have a similar perspective about it. Because yeah, I'm never, I never take what's said in pugs like. Like I said, I've learned to take what's said in pugs with a grain of salt. You say something in a pug, whatever. Maybe I'm mad in the moment, but as soon as it's over, I've forgotten what happened, right? But like, I wish there was more of I think like part of the reason that like lack of respect for like elders from the younger generation comes from the like gap that we've experienced in the last like 5 years of like there's always kind of been like, okay, there was like the pros from 10 years ago, and then our tier two was like up next when Valorant came out, and that got like scooped out of the scene. So we didn't like really have like a whole lot of
True.
leadership in the scene in the last like 5 years. So a lot of these
The
kids that are
iBuyPower
like
thing was detrimental to the scene too.
yeah,
Those are
and
the
like
mentors.
America's
Yeah.
right, and America's been plagued with scandals since the beginning, right? Like you look at the iBuyPower.
Yeah.
And so it's one of these things where it's not surprising in this space that like these kids act this way, but I do like that's what I wish we would see more of is like you guys should be asking the people like Steve that have been in the space for like 20 plus years or like if you see Wild Turkey maybe Wild Turkey doesn't play Counter-Strike but like if you see Wild Turkey he's been putting events on this like this and been in gaming spaces for like 20 plus
Yeah.
years, right? Like these are people like you don't need to go up and like fawn over your elders and like bow down to them and worship the
No.
ground you walk on, but go start up a conversation and ask them about stuff
Yeah.
because they will have more information than you
Yeah.
realize if you just strike up a
Hundred
conversation. And
percent.
that comes back to having that unified space like the forums. I think yeah, I think that everybody working in all of these things, I'm over being like oh this thing is stupid or this is stupid, but like I have maintained the fact that I feel like the Faceit and ESEA merger, like we got the worst of both worlds put together, in my opinion. But whatever. It's growing. It's moving along. Okay, I know we've already been at this for an hour, but I can keep going because but I also know you have a place you have to be tonight. What is your time frame like here?
I told you 5:45. I just want to make sure that I'm out the door by then with my gear. So yeah, I've got time. I mean, I don't think we'll go anywhere close to that. So I think we'll be all right.
No,
And I'm
no,
happy to
but I
keep yapping.
do.
I enjoy this. So you do your thing. You let me know how much time you've got.
Okay, yeah. I still got. No, I got all the time in the world, baby. I'm gonna go scream at the internet and pug after this. So, I've got nothing really that important to do. Speaking of, maybe if I acted a little more mature, I would garner the respect of my younger peers, I suppose. But that's a different story. I do want to ask you the question of like, there's a lot of a lot of the stuff that we talked about, I want to kind of bring it back to the game. What advice do you have for a team that's like just starting out in the scene? Because one of the things that I think is really difficult is knowing how to effectively practice, or what should a team be focusing on, or like how does a team like organize themselves when they are like first starting out?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's the biggest thing is that you have five individuals in different walks of life. Okay, and maybe even six if you have like a sub, maybe even seven if you have a coach, or seven if you have
Right.
like two subs, right? If you're just starting out, you might need options of like, life happens. So you might, so that's the start, right? Understand that there's multiple people involved on a team, disconnected through the internet, right? So there's not much like possibility of like having like this really good cohesion of understanding everybody else's situation. You have no idea what they're going through, right? So first having just getting five, starting with getting five people that are like-minded it's a really hard thing to do, but it's the best thing to do for your team. Making sure that when I say like-minded, it doesn't have to necessarily be like you have to be in the exact same walk of life. You have to be like the same, like, you have to all be like in the same, economic class and like, same PC setup and all this stuff. But like-minded in the sense that like you understand where everybody's coming from and understand their situations so that you can limit or exceed the goals and expectations that you set for yourself as a team. I know that sounds super vague and like weird, but I'm telling you right now, if everybody understands what everybody on their team is going through and just like getting to know them a little bit and then having a hard conversation of what is our goal for this season? Like realistically, like as a goal, as a team, what are we trying to achieve? Are we just trying to like have fun? We trying to learn the game a little bit? At what level are we trying to learn and get better? Is everybody trying to improve? Is because if one guy's trying to go pro and the other four are trying to have fun and not give a fuck, it's not going to be good. If you have two people that are,
It's not going to be
if you have
fun.
two people that are trying to go pro, three guys that aren't trying to go pro, still not going to be great. If you have like three or four people trying to go pro and you have one guy that's like good enough to like help them along the way, but you know that he's like probably going to like focus on whatever school next or whatever, then that's good. Have that conversation. It's okay. Like talk about your life, talk about, and then this is the second element to this. Like have that conversation at the beginning of the season. What do we want to achieve as a team? Set a goal, and be tangible about the goal. Like be tangible. I want to achieve like okay, we're starting an open or we're doing the qualifier, whatever. I want to get to playoffs. That's tangible. Did you get in the because at the end of the season, did we get to playoffs or not? Yes or no? Bang. Did we achieve it or did we not? Cool. Something to look forward to, right? And I've tried doing this with teams that like I've either played on or coached, and I've had players like say like, Mike, I just want to win. That's my goal. I'm like, no, dude, be tangible. Do you want to make it to playoffs or not? Like, make that goal, and then attach other goals to it. I want to attend this many lands. I want to attend like 2 lands per whatever year. Okay, tangible. Did I attend 2 lands at the end of the year? Did I attend 2 lands or did I not? Period. And then once you have those conversations with your team, and there's like 1 or 2 people in the room that are like, I actually don't want to land. I can't attend lands. Go find people that do because your goals aren't aligned with that person's goals. That's a problem, right? Like kind of. If you're trying to, so I think I've beat a dead horse when it comes to that, right? The second part of that is after you've aligned on those goals and understand everybody's situation, have like back it up. You talk the walk, now walk the walk. Like do what you need to do in order to achieve those goals, right? Set practices, get organized, and when things change, and I'm not going to say if things change throughout the season, because when things change, something happens, life happens, somebody, whatever the case may be, they either leave the team or whatever, reassess those goals, have a conversation again. Or you exceed the goals so fast, like you say you go like 9-0 in open. That means you're making playoffs. You've already met your goal. So like make a new goal, right? You already know at that moment that you've made playoffs, so like make a new goal. Like, oh, we're good. Like, let's try to win this thing, right? Make that goal. Reassess. Or if you start 0-9, like reassess your goals, like you're not making playoffs. So like now let's just like try to stay as a team. Like just is it worth it, right? The second thing, third thing, like this all happens by the way before the season, and then like obviously come up with a schedule. The practice schedule I think comes first a lot of times with these teams. They try to align on like everybody's like time frame. You need to do the goals thing first. Second thing is the practice schedule, and then stick to it. If things happen in communication, like figure out a way to actually properly communicate, whatever that might be. If it's a Discord channel or whatever, like a WhatsApp group or I don't know what everybody uses. Like there's different apps that people use, but just make sure that you're on the same page communication wise and actually communicate, man. Don't be one of those guys that like 5 minutes after practice is like, hey guys, I'm not gonna make it, and then like you have to cancel a scrim. Like, be communicative. Don't leave your team on red half the time. At the end of the season, and this can come in the beginning or middle of the season too, but if and when your team decides to stick together, or the majority, if a core sticks together, right? This is a really hard exercise to do, but I challenge every one of you out there to do this. I don't care what level you are, especially though if you're at the main advanced ECL level. The core of you should get together, and ideally the whole team, and you go through this exercise where you assess. You give each other you give each other the floor and have a conversation of what went well and what could have gone better for each individual person. And that's when the hard conversations come out. That's when like the truth comes out. That's when people are like appreciative of what you do in the server and out of the server, and communication and like what you do to contribute to practice and how you participate, and you know, and then like the little things come out, like, hey man, I really don't like how like you moan and groan after you die. Like, can you stop that? You know, that's when like it's okay. Like, just say it at that point. Like, ideally that comes like super early on in the project or earlier on in the season. But like, if you're holding on to that and it messes with you, like just tell them in that conversation so that you can work on it next season. Hey man, I don't really like how like late you are or how often, you know, you're late to practice. Hey man, I appreciate how you know how much you contribute to practice, like all the like the nades that you bring, and like the strats and the theory crafting. Like that's awesome. Please keep that up, because people need to hear these things. It's okay to have these conversations, and it's not okay to like boil it up and let it pop out one day in the middle of a game. So I encourage everybody to try to do that. It's okay to have these conversations with your teammates. And then lastly, like if you are trying to like make a name for yourself or go pro or anything, like just do the extra stuff. Just do the extra like little things individually that you know are required for you to make a name for yourself. Not just like socials, but just like networking, get to know people. You know, get involved in and like show up to LAN events. Like, and now especially with VRS, you just have to. Like, there's no question. Like, if you want, and like right now it's not as important, but like starting from like 6 months from now to a year from now, 100%, you have to show up to these LAN events if you want to go pro. VRS, like to get into ECL,
Yeah.
like you're in the current landscape, like you have to show up to these events, and that's gonna help you be a better player, networker. You're gonna you know meet like-minded individuals. And then that will like recycle that sort of thing that I said at the very beginning of this, is that you know you're going to find like-minded individuals, and who knows, you might find a better opportunity for you to join a team with people that want to do the same thing as you, right? So I encourage you, if you are trying to go pro, to just go events, even if you're like playing on a good team or not, just go, because you're gonna meet people that have the same drive as you, and you can make something with that. The last thing I think, just in general, is just to get organized with like all the ancillary stuff that make a good team good. Spreadsheet of strats, tactics. Utilize some of the tools out there that help you become better as a team. There's some really good tools to help you get organized. Just obviously like sharing a Google Drive and helping get organized in that sense is like making sure that everybody knows the proper util, knows the proper strats, and have like an organized practice, in the sense that you know how you're going to treat each practice. So you want to be as like efficient as possible during your practices. You're not just like spamming scrims, right? You want to have focus days where you're actually focusing on, this is what we're going to focus on. We're going to work on playing slow on T side today. Okay. On on Tuesday, we're going to work on, CT side, we're going to work on like giving space and then reaggressing certain choke points. Okay. That's all we're going to work on. Right. Or Wednesday, we're going to be even super passive. We're going to play like full retake on each site on different rounds. And we're going to work on our retake scenarios. Right. On T side, we're going to run the clock all the way down and try to plant the bomb with less than 10 seconds left on every default that we play, right? Or we're going to run it down and we're going to practice all of our rush strats the entire half, right? So just being more like mindful or what's the word I'm looking for?
Pointed?
Pointed. Yeah, what's another word for pointed that I'm actually searching for? Like
Intentional?
intentional, thank you. And be intentional with practices. Like have a so when I talked about like goals and expectations, like that day or even like the day prior, like even say this at the end of practice, be like, tomorrow we are going to focus on this. So that way you go to sleep and your entire team knows and you're on the same page. We are focusing on this. So I'm gonna fucking think about it before I go to sleep. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna know what I'm focusing on in practice tonight. I think that's really, really important. And the IGL has a lot of burden. So all the other players need to recognize that. I think that's slowly starting to become a thing where they understand that the IGL has to do a lot to prepare for practice. So do your part and just contribute to that. Ask him what you can be doing better, and try to contribute to practice in your own individual way. And do your part by being more self-sufficient with utility, with your role on CT side, with your role on T side, different ways that you can default, different ways that you can do and execute. Stop. And like just be intentional and show up and contribute. So I know I spouted a lot of information in that, but that's like the gist of, in my opinion, what every team from open to ECL could be doing better. I know obviously like that's more on the side of like the more serious players and teams out there. But I think the open teams can gain from that too. I think even if you're playing casually, it's okay to set like super casual goals for yourself. It makes it more fun that way, and you can celebrate when you accomplish your goals. Celebrate. Find a way to fucking live it up, man. Whatever that might look like for you and your team, celebrate. Because not a lot of teams get to celebrate. Not a lot of teams make it to playoffs and stick together. So when you do, fucking man, enjoy it. Have fun.
God, that is good advice, dude. I was hanging on every word there, listening to that, because honestly, 20 seasons of Open, 14,000 hours of Counter Strike, and I'm still dog shit at this game and have no idea how to organize a team. So that seems like good advice that I'm gonna be employing here. And yeah, I think practicing with intent is like one of those things you hear like people say as a general way to get better, but like all of those things you just said are like very specific on how to practice with intent. Like
Yeah.
that, and yeah, that's good advice for literally any team anywhere that is feeling like, I feel like NA needs to be
Pointed.
holding on to more, yeah, holding on to some of that advice, because of the fact like we just go through this roster shuffle where those hard conversations aren't really being had because people are like, well, it'll be easier to just tell them we're cutting them and get a new person than
Yeah.
to tell somebody they're doing something I don't like that they're doing, right?
And that's why I think, I mean, you might hear it in my voice, but I'm a little bit passionate about this subject that I'm starting to realize, and I've always known this, but my calling is coaching. I've never like, especially after since I got banned at a young age. To me, I'm like, I'm never going to be a pro player. Deleted from my even ambition altogether. That path is gone forever, right? Horrible that it destroyed me that way, but that's truly in my soul how I felt at the time. I'm 16, banned from the only thing that mattered, right? But eventually when I started,
Right.
like I played collegiate soccer, I coached soccer professionally, like I realized that like I have a really love for like this thing of like being able to get everybody on the same page. And that I didn't know I had in me. So I think I'm better off as a coach anyway. I would love to have been a player, in a different timeline or a different universe or whatever. I'm sure there's one out there, and I hope he's doing great. I hope he's fucking living it up. But this timeline, I think, and a little bit of like a teaser, I'm looking for a coaching gig. I think that that's something that makes the most sense for me at this point in my walk of life. And so I'm actually taking a step back this season as a player and letting them kick ass and you know, farm their VRS points, and I'll be either coaching them or finding a gig. You know, if they qualify for if they get to ECL, then like obviously that's a no-brainer. But I'm putting myself out there to find a gig that I can you know, on a promising project, because I think that what I just said is just the start of many things for me to learn on how I can help get a team on the same page and really go for something that I know deep down they have the talent for. Um, in a landscape that VRS is totally attainable. And you know, it's the world is our oyster in this moment. There's a lot of times where things happen in the space that shift, like levers are pulled that change the entire trajectory that you could never have seen coming, right? Valve does something we have no control over, right? The way that like all these different entities work with that is unique. And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what this looks like, but there's a lot of ways that this could shape out. And I'm just excited and I just want to be a part of it. And I know I can't be a part of it as a player at this point. Those days are past me, but I would love to be involved in some sort of project. So yeah, I'm excited.
Dude, you're gonna make me emotional, Michael. That's dude. Seriously, that's everything you're saying right now is exactly how I feel. I just feel like we are in this moment where we're watching a lot of the old guard change and a new world come through, right? And I have no fucking clue what that will look like, but I'm along for the ride. I'm here for it, and I'm thrilled that there's other people out there like myself that are just as excited about it, and I know we're not alone either. Like it's uh it's it's a strange time to be a counter striker, but I think it's about to be a beautiful time to be a counter striker as well. Like because at the end of the day, and you know this as somebody who's played it for nearly 25 years with a gap in there, this game is not gonna fucking die. Like n- nobody will just stop playing Counter Strike. Like the whole ecosystem could crumble, and there would still be people, millions of people in the world playing Counter Strike. So no matter what, something will grow from that love for
What
the
do you mean?
game.
Counter Strike's been dying for 25 years.
Yet it just won't fucking die,
Just
dude.
something about it just won't fucking
It
peel
just,
over, man. Something about it. Just
I
trying
swear to,
to.
you jest, but I swear to God, I think they have this conversation in Valve sometimes. Like I know Valve loves Counter Strike deep down, but like as Counter Strike players, you also know that Counter Strike is Valve's weird, like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like they would just wish it would die off and be done, but it can't die.
Nah.
It's the great. It is literally the greatest game ever made. I mean, it's period. So,
I just love that it's gotten to the
um,
point where you can literally just like, it used to be like shocking to me that I would mention Counter Strike, or sorry, it used to be like understandable to me that I would mention Counter Strike, and like 8 times out of 10 people would be like, huh? And now I'm like 8 times out of 10 people know, and I'm like, and it's still like hits it
that's
like takes me
weird.
a second to be like, well, oh, you do know what Counter Strike is. That's weird. Like, because I came from a time where like nobody fucking heard about it. There's only like there's less than, you know, I mean, when I first started playing, there's less than 100,000 people in the world playing the game. You know, I was one of the first 100,000 people playing the game ever, which is like fucking dope to say, but like I understood when somebody didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. Now it's like, whoa, you know what Counter Strike is? That's awesome, man. Like we have like this common like, I mean, they might have like seen it on like okay. I'll tell a story really quickly. T19, one of my teammates from this past season, told me. I asked him like, how did you get involved in CS? This guy says he turned on the TV one day and it was on it was on TV and he thought it was really cool looking. It was on E-League. It was
Yeah.
E-League. That was one of my former fucking bosses worked on that project. And it was just like, holy crap, like you got involved in the game because it was on TV. Like that is, and you're now going to frag events. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, man. It's just so cool. Like these, yeah, like you said, there's a promising future for this game still, and there always will be.
Well, and kind of as a closing thought here too, is with CS2 as many problems as it's had over the last couple of years, and you were there for the beginning of CS:GO and saw how long it takes Valve a long time to get these games right to like where it feels like they want them to be, right? And it's taking a long time with CS2, but it does feel like with what they are trying to build with CS2 is an acknowledgement of what Counter Strike has become and what it is capable of becoming over the next like several decades or the next 100 years or whatever, right? Like obviously that's a long way to look out from now, but like I feel like CS2 is being built into something that will be able to stand the test of time. And yeah, as long as the community stays passionate about it, I know we're gonna have something beautiful. So, dude, I only have my last couple of questions here for you, but this has been no matter what, I'm saving this episode as the last one before LAN, and I hope you sort things out with your wife to be able to go to Blocktober next weekend.
Likewise, I
But
doubtful, but I hope I can make it.
well, we'll be praying for you, brother. I my first question, last question is where does your in-game name Maestro come from?
Um, so it didn't always used to be Maestro. I used to go by the name of Axel and Mishka back in the day during 1.6. Mishka was technically my name before I was born. They decided to change it to Michael. I have a Russian background. My grandfather's Russian. That's where Mishka came from. But Maestro came about. Played soccer a lot. Like I said, I also played a lot of FIFA during my college years. That gap period, FIFA was like my life. I loved FIFA. And there was a specific I think it was like football ultimate team or something where like they started putting characteristics in the game of like of different role play, like the people that were like had a specific role on the field, and the Maestro was the player that I most aligned with because he was the guy in the middle of the field, center attacking mid, who would like orchestrate everything that was happening around him. He was setting people up for success. He was making everybody around him better. He wasn't necessarily getting all the goals. He wasn't necessarily doing all of like the flashy end stuff, but he was setting up like the assist or the attack or facilitating, the defense. Basically, just kind of seeing the big picture. And I love that because again, my chess background, StarCraft, the Maestro, like I can't remember exactly what the description was, but I was just like, holy shit, like I never thought of soccer this way. And I think of like Lionel Messi, Zinedine Zidane, Pirlo, these types of players were the maestros of soccer. And I looked up to those players very much when I was growing up playing. And so that's who I tried to be. And I feel like I've done the best that I could in Counter Strike to be that player, that teammate. I'm the guy that throws all the utility for people. Every pug after every game. If you can look back to all of my games. I have the most enemies flashed. I have the most utility thrown. I'm constantly trying to facilitate just winning the game, winning a round, making at least every round as like expensive as possible for the other team because I'm seeing the end game. I'm seeing just because you don't win a round, you're trying to make it as expensive as possible for the other team, right? Or like you're conditioning them to think that you might be doing something different that, in the following round. So I'm like, to a fault, I think I'm doing too much. I will say I've kind of recognized that lately in the last couple of years, but that's where my in-game name came from. Is that I have always tried to just elevate people around me to be a better version of themselves, to be a better player. And I don't mind not getting all like the flashy stats. I just try to help my team win the game.
I love that. Yeah, a very fitting name for you, sir. You are indeed the maestro. I like that. All right, dude. I've got one last question, and I'm gonna say it right now. Sorry to all you suckers out there that have been on the show before, but this has hands down been the best episode of Laying It Down with Big D
Oh
thus
no,
far.
you don't have to.
So,
You don't have to say that.
just kidding. All of them are. You're all my children. But this has been a seriously solid episode, and I think there's a lot of wisdom in this. But I wanna get one last nugget of wisdom here from you. This is the last question I ask everybody. If you could talk to a younger version of yourself and give them some advice, what would it be? And it can be Counter-Strike or esports or life or whatever you want to talk about related. This is kind of the opportunity to get on a soapbox and preach.
Yeah, I love this question. I actually do an exercise every year on my birthday where I ask myself if somebody that was my 10 years younger version of myself looked to me today, would they be what would they think? Would they be proud of this version of myself, or what would that person say to me? What would a younger version say to me now? Which I like to do that exercise. So this is a nice way to kind of do the inverse. I would just say I've been doing that exercise, by the way, since somebody told me to do that at like 21, and I've been doing it now for like 15 years. But I would just say, like, to me specifically, I would just say it's gonna be okay. Just keep doing what you're doing, maintain the same ambition, and don't take yourself too seriously. Like, I think it's, we're just on like a floating rock flying through space at the end of the day. Try to just enjoy it. Keep good people around you close and squeeze them tight. Loved ones. And as soon as you make a good connection with somebody, like, fucking hold on to that person and let them know, hey, you've been a really positive, like, light in my life. Let people know when you love them. Like, don't hold that shit back. Because they need to hear it, man. You never know what they might be going through, and if they're good to you, be good to them back. Reciprocate that, and yeah, just try to be a little bit more, like, forward with that communication, I guess, is what I would tell myself. I started doing that, and I noticed, for whatever reason, that started manifesting more better relationships around me. Weird how that works.
I know, it's wild, isn't it?
um, yeah, I think that's about it, man. Um, just wake up every day and try to just make your bed. Start off by making your bed, and that's a really good start.
Yeah. It's a good start, dude. Whether you want to do it or not, just do it. It's a good start.
Actually, one little nugget: if you can't get up out of bed, um, uh, which I know is, like, so, like, cheesy, right? Because everybody's like, well, everybody gets out of bed, but really, like, that's the hardest thing to do sometimes, man. I was down in the dumps for a little bit, and somebody that told me, just count to 5, and if you don't get up after 5, then, like, slap yourself, bro. Get up, get out of, like, count to 5 and do it. And I started doing that with other things to help myself from not hesitating to do anything, even in game. Like, if something comes to my gut that I know I should be doing, if I count to 5 and I don't do that thing, then, like, that time is over. I need to come up with something else. But, like, if you start your day that way, if you can't get up out of bed, count to 5. I guarantee you will find the motivation to get up if you count to 5.
Fucking A, dude.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, dude. That's God. Yeah, this is all really good advice. This has been one of the best episodes of all time, in not just laying it down history, but of any podcast ever
And
made
Bo made an
history.
appearance.
The dog is here. Yeah, where's my dog? Garcon.
Oh, and read. I would have told myself to read the book Mind Gym by the author Gary Mack. Much younger in my life. It's a sports
Mind Gym
mind
by Gary
Mind
Mack.
Gym by Gary Mack. It's a sports psychology book that I think everybody in the esports space should read. 1000%. And that's the first thing that I would do to any project that I would be a part of. I would make sure that we all absorbed the knowledge of the most accomplished athletes around the planet have contributed to this book. I would love for actually eventually to publish a book that does the same with esports athletes. I think it would be so dope. Like, I would start with Elige, obviously, but, like, yeah, dude, I kind of spilled a little bit of the secret sauce there a bit, but I think, like, something of that nature would be so cool for this scene. Mind Gym by Gary
I,
Mack.
I
Read it.
I'm gonna go check it out. Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming through and doing this episode with me. It has been a pleasure getting to know you outside of just yelling at you in a pug. I think we probably have a beautiful friendship ahead of us as the years go on. And
Likewise.
yeah, I appreciate you coming through, man.
Likewise. I
It's
appreciate you for doing this. Keep doing what you're doing, man, and I hope to see you again soon at the next event. You're the best.
oh. Thank you. Well, I can't argue with that. So thank you very much. One last thing before you go here. Do you just like the end of Hot Ones? If you wanted this camera, this camera, this camera, let the people know what where to find you, what's next for you, any shout outs or plugs you want to give here as a final goodbye.
I don't really think I have any more. Like, I think I've kind of mentioned everything. You can find me on Twitter, really, Discord. I mean, find me if you have any questions or follow up comments or anything. Feel free. I think just in general, shout out to anybody in the scene that is trying to make a name for themselves. All the people that have been on the show to begin with, I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I look forward to watching future shows and episodes that you bring on. And I would love to collaborate with anybody to do something along the lines of this, including you. This is my world now, full force, full time. So let's do more of this, and let's have fun with it. Cheers.
I love that. Hell yeah, dude. All right, you guys heard it here. Refrag is going to sponsor Laying It Down with Big D. You love to hear it. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Have a wonderful day, and that's